alarming trend revealed. That's today's topic. We are going to have an opportunity to spend a few minutes to talk about this topic. This topic can take 2 hours of conversations, Brian, but we're going to
literally had about a 45-minute with somebody just 2 days ago, so yeah.
So we're going to try to keep it to the point, try to give some benefit to people listening to us here or watching us about the concerns regarding travel right now within the U.S., outside the United States.
All those scary immigration news stories. It's people being detained for political activities. It's people being deported over things like tattoos or pictures on their phone. Things like that. And I guess the question is, can that happen to me? And I think maybe my goal for this one is to have sort of a realistic conversation of what you can do, what you can't do, what to worry about, and what not to worry about.
There are things you control, there are things you don't control.
Yeah,
right?
and I think having a very realistic conversation about what those things are is sort of a way that I talk to people to keep them calm about issues like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
My name is Sam Shihab with the law firm of Shihab Burke. I'm an immigration attorney, and with me,
I'm Brian Burke, also from Shihab Burke, and I'm also an immigration attorney. High five.
All right. We practice immigration law throughout the U.S. and throughout the world. We do employment immigration and family immigration, and we spend half an hour or an hour once or twice a week with you to discuss a point or a matter of concern. Today we're going to spend half an hour, and we're going to come back Monday and do another half an hour to talk about another point of concern. So to me, Brian, there's a lot of common issues that concerns people who are not U.S. citizens.
Sure.
And when I say people who are not U.S. citizens, really it encompasses, first, permanent residents, U.S. permanent residents.
Yep.
Secondly, people on some sort of a visa, extended visa in the U.S., like an L visa
H-1B.
or an H-1B visa or an E visa.
Yeah.
And then the other group of people who probably we're not going to have time to talk about are people here on parole or TPS. Mm-hmm. This is probably a whole conversation by itself.
Some sort of quasi-legal, but quasi-legal status, essentially.
Not status, but legal.
Yeah. I'm an attorney. I should use that term for that. Yeah.
So we're going to kind of to simplify it. We're going to lump in the issues that are common.
Yeah.
And you don't believe there are different issues between U.S. permanent residents and green card holders.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe we should talk about green card holder for 2 minutes and then
talk about what impacts everybody.
Because green card holders have a permanent status in the United States. They have permanent residency. They have a card that says, hey, you can live here forever for as long as you're a good citizen. Right?
Good permanent resident, yes.
Yeah. And that's a permanent resident, not a good person.
A good permanent resident.
Yeah, good permanent resident. Yeah. So with that, what are the scenarios that we're seeing that are unfolding recently about U.S. permanent residents having issues with their green card?
Well, I'm going to start rather than get into specifics, I'm going to talk about the meta issue. You are a permanent resident, but as a permanent resident, you are subject to immigration enforcement rules like deportation. And essentially, if you run afoul of certain rules, you can, be deported. A very common. I spend a lot of time, I'm sure you do as well, reading, these shocking immigration stories, the ones that the national media picks up about, a longtime permanent resident, got picked up at the border. And I always sort of, go behind them and try to figure out what's going on here, what the actual legal basis is. And a real common one I've seen is permanent residents, they came back to the United States and they got stopped and detained, put in a removal proceeding, presumably. And the answer is, on a lot of those cases, I've heard of at least 2 of them. Joe found one for us, and I was reading about another one. It's people with a drug charge in the past, something that would make them...
Criminal charges.
Criminal charges.
So you have criminal charges. If you're thinking about leaving the country and coming back and expect not to be picked on, I think you're being naive.
Yeah.
If you have these type of charges, clearly you have an issue staying here, and clearly you have an issue coming back to the U.S. But the one issue that is occurring, which is peculiar, is the government coming back and say, sometime or allegedly, we're not. I don't want to get involved.
We're getting bits and pieces of stories.
She said, because we don't know all the facts.
Yeah.
that, hey, I want to reopen your green card, your application. I don't have anything on you right now. Maybe we're going through a process, but I want to look at your green card and resend that green card. So rescission.
Yeah.
So the government has the ability to reopen the green card within 5 years and resend that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And then they just kind of look into it and say, what went wrong, or how can we prove something went wrong?
Yeah, I mean, on that one, I mean, I think it was either you and I, or maybe our mutual colleague Cheryl, we were talking about one of these scenarios. You know, somebody who's a permanent resident, and you know, maybe it's legally dubious as to whether somebody's political activities as a permanent resident should have them removed from the United States. But you know, the conversation is, I bet if they go back and look at their green card application, they can find something that wasn't quite perfect. And then the government will say, well, we got you for fraud. You know, my friend, that's the sort of thing that's out there. And
that is different than the 5-year look back. That's basically going back and saying the application was filed improperly, and that allows them to go back as far as they can find that paperwork.
I'll have to defer to you on that.
Yeah, there's no limitation, because if you even claim a fraud, can be open beyond 5 years.
Yeah, but well, we regard. I mean, it's a go to be.
It could be become a deportation case.
Yeah. So exactly, if you find you're a permanent resident, but we're going to deport you because you engage in XYZ.
Okay, so that's the permanent residence peculiar scenarios.
Yeah.
Okay, now moving on to peculiar scenarios for people on visas.
Yeah.
Now, people on visas are significantly more vulnerable.
Yeah. They have
to rejection.
Very dubious rights, very thin rights in the United. Well, there should be actually there's a lot of rights to protect them inside the United States, but maybe we'll talk about people coming to the United States briefly. You know, if you are a foreign national, you are not inside the United States. You are outside the United States. You're applying for a visa, or you're coming to a border. Your rights are about zero. Essentially, when it comes to not getting admitted at the border, raise your hand if you get a bunch of calls a week about, my friend, my colleague, my relative wasn't admitted at the border. This is not a new trend. That's kind of that. This is something we get calls about all the time.
So to simplify this, there are really 3 possible legal scenarios that you find yourself in. One is you're here on a visa and somebody comes to you and say, we're going to cancel your visa. So they can cancel your visa.
Here, physically present in the United States.
You just violated the terms of your visa. You engaged in activities that are not consistent with your visa, and we're going to cancel your visa.
Yeah.
So that's one item. And cancellation of the visa, that can be, they can send you a note and ask you to leave, but they have to put you through deportation.
Yeah, sure. You're here in the United States. You have the right to go through that process. Sure.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah. The second one is rejection of entry.
Yeah.
We're not going to allow you to come in. You come in at the border, you come in and say, we're not going to allow you to come in because there's something wrong with you.
I'm either not letting you in, or if you're going to really fight me on this, I'm going to just immediately deport you from the country and send you right back home.
And the third one is rejection of an application.
That's a fair way to...
rejection of an application. And there's things that are happening right now that haven't happened before and getting people very anxious. And the truth of the matter is, if you want to try to put a common thread on all these cases that you see reported, it's criminal charges, people who have decided to really exercise our First Amendment.
Yeah,
to the gray area of the edges of it. So the First Amendment is the biggest sliding scale. Yeah. The biggest sliding scale in American history. Our First Amendment can be that big, and our First Amendment can be that big. And when it's that big under certain administration, and you're right here, okay, and it shrinks, you're outside of it.
Yeah.
And if you're outside of it, they're going to go after you. And this is something that you realistically have to accept. I don't want to talk about we have this most amazing system. We do, but we are human, and human interpret things differently.
Policies and enforcement changes with administrations.
Don't push our First Amendment to it is plastic
Yeah.
level beyond its elastic level.
Yeah, just as we predict, changes in H-1B reviews and enforcement and green card cases, processing on those of the change administrations, it's not as usual, but so comes changes in, how they interpret, what's a national security threat.
Do you advise your clients to travel outside the United States today?
No, never. People ask me all the time, Brian, is it safe to travel? And this is like first week of being an immigration attorney. This is something you taught me. Brian, I'm going to tell you who is guaranteed to enter the United States. United States citizens with passports in hand. Everybody else is a gamble at the border.
But is this the bigger gamble today?
Yeah.
You're kind of.
No. Okay.
Is it a bigger
I started
gamble
with
today?
the black. We're going to go work into the gray. And yes, it's a bigger gamble today. But I have to sort of, take a sort of a holistic view on this. So if you're a normal person living an honest, lawful life in the United States, most people aren't involved in political activities. Most people aren't involved in crimes. You can spend your time worrying about immigration things, but frankly, most of the issues we're discussing here, Sam, are not for the average person. Do you agree?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Most of it isn't. Some of it is. Okay. In my opinion, some people, their way of life is a little bit different. They're just activists by way they live and
Sure.
how they associate, and they think that's normal for them. So I can't put a yardstick on what's normal, what's not
Okay.
normal, to be honest with you.
Well.
But here's my advice.
Okay.
I give you a chance.
Okay.
I'll
Give me your magnum opus.
My advice is, until things settle down, if you need to travel and you think your paperwork everything is in order, go ahead and take care of business. But traveling just for the heck of having fun, or traveling because of a cruise or a vacation, I would just, if possible, take your vacations within the U.S. right now and not travel right now.
It's a lovely country. Let's
There's a lot to do here. Just don't put blinders on and assume the current environment today is the same as 12 months ago.
Sure.
It isn't. And that's a fact. The current environment right now is they have something called enhanced scrutiny, right?
It's vetting, I believe.
Vetting.
Yeah.
Enhanced vetting, which is not defined. And that's where the problem is. Not defined in the law. What is enhanced vetting? That means do more. Catch more bad guys.
Customs people who are going to be more likely to think, nah, you're coming here to work unlawfully.
But that's not what it should be.
Yeah, but it's
why
ill-defined, and the people at the top say we're going to be harder on immigration, and that gets filtered down to the low level as things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I sort of have to think about things at the highest level. It's if you've been engaged in political activities in the past that might subject you to scrutiny. I mean, they can look back. You can't put that back in the box right now, right? You can control what you do going forward. The past is the past. If the U.S. government, if you for criminal reasons, political reasons, or whatever, if you are the sort of person that the government has an interest in right now, you can't undo that. It's the United States government. It's the most powerful government in the world. It's the most powerful national security apparatus of any nation. Yeah. I think if you are on that list, you cannot control it. But I don't think it's likely that many people are on that list, even in our audience. You know?
Yes. A lot of people are getting nervous. I'm getting more applications, permanent residents applying for citizenship. I got a guy calling me. He's I've been here for 25 years, never applied for a green card, never thought I need to. Now I think I need to. And honestly, there's no reason to be here, a permanent resident for 20 years and not apply for citizenship.
Sure.
So there's a lot of that going on. It's unfortunate that people feeling insecure.
Sure.
But that's the state of the nation right now, and just try to avoid travel if you can. And clearly, if you are from these travel ban country, and then there's rumors that the travel ban is being canceled, I can't confirm it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you're one of the list is out, and then from
the 40 to 43 or 45 countries that they think are going to be on a potential travel ban list. It's out there.
Which is now there's rumor that it's not going to happen.
Articles saying it's delayed indefinitely to some point in the future. Yeah.
But it means that they're just too busy with other things, and then they're going to turn their attention to it.
Yeah. I wouldn't take for granted that travel ban wouldn't come back. I mean, we have clients from all over the world. I talked to an Iranian guy who said, I was thinking about going to Europe. No, because the short answer.
Yeah,
You know?
if you have an immigrant petition from one of these countries trying to push it and expedite it, because once there's a travel ban, it's going to hold things up until it's resolved. Let's turn our attention to questions. Our wonderful website, immigrationvisaquestions.us,
I must correct you, Sam. It's immigrationquestions.us.
Immigrationquestions.us.
Yes.
Thank you.
I know it's .us because that's the website that you bought. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the website that we have, and it is down today. So we're not going to attend to it. We're going to attend to it next time around.
Yeah.
But we have plenty of Q&As to take.
Yeah.
Let's take the first one.
Yeah, let's see what we got. A frequent viewer here. I'm going to put this in front of us so we can both see it with ease. There it is from Raj Channel. My I-485 National Interest Waiver Rest of the World was approved a few weeks ago. I came here to ask some questions. Thanks again for answering my questions and all the things that you do. Well,
well, you're welcome. Thank you. Congratulations.
Recommend us to your friends if you unsubscribe.
Do you have the clapping?
We do have clapping. I'm going to push. We're going to push a button for Raj channel here. Now, I almost wanted to push the wah wah button or the.
You turn that off?
Yeah, it turns off automatically. Wonderful. It seems.
Yep. All right, let's take the next one.
Yeah. Let's see here. From Ahmed Hamad.
I lost my job during the H-1B administrative processing and re-entered with advanced parole national interest waiver, which is self-employment. Will being jobless or without a task affects my I-485? I am trying to work in my field. So he has an I-140 national interest waiver and filed an adjustment of status, got an advanced parole, lost his job, he came back, he still have this pending national interest waiver. What is the impact for his situation that you think of it?
Well, I-140 national interest waiver.
With an I-485 pending, he got an advanced parole.
Well, yeah. If you have a national interest waiver, there's no job offer associated with your green card application. The work you're doing is so important that we approve this I-140 application with the confidence that wherever you end up, whoever you work for, you're going to be working in that national interest.
How about self-employment?
Employment's fine. I mean, they can approve that green card for this person without a job offer for somebody else in hand. It's a self-sponsored petition.
Right, but if he's not working in the national interest, it can bring back.
Sure.
I mean, we just finished talking about revoking cases.
Yeah.
So they can easily do that.
Yeah.
So we cannot assume that cannot happen if he's just basically opened up a pizza shop. And
sure.
And his work in the national interest has to do with, with nuclear science.
I'm not gonna. So you're creating wacky scenarios like some kind of Brian Burke. Yeah. I'm presuming that
I can be Brian Burke every now and then.
Don't do it to yourself, Sam. It's very difficult.
But the answer to the question.
Yeah.
To answer the question is self-employment in the field of your national interest.
Sure.
Is okay. I think you should try, as you're looking for a job, to do consulting, independent contracting, anything in the national interest.
Keep you in the scope of that, for sure.
So if they come back and ask you, it can show you can have a nexus.
Yeah, one of the things I've been I'll tell you a 15-second story. I had a woman I talked to right after the new president was sworn in. She was working in international development, right? And I thought she would be an absolute superstar for a national interest waiver case. About a year ago, the national interest, whatever the national interest, it's subject to politics, and arguably can change. That's the sort of thing you got to think about there. So I do agree. Just because it's in theory possible for them to revisit and reopen petitions. Yeah. So let me see here, from another sort of follow-up from Ahmed Hamad.
Will dismiss DUI that is mentioned in 485 with court disposition prove or triggers an interview. Dismiss DUI, I mean there's no conviction, Brian. I will be more curious with the lower offense that he pled to and what it is.
I'm presuming entirely dismissed, but I mean, I got to think about the contents of your I-485 filing. Did you give them the complete record of the court case so they can see, if you said on the forum, yep, it was dismissed, did you give them the records? Because they're going to want to see that. And it would not surprise me if this person got an I-45 interview because they like to talk about those things. They might want to see physical records of it as well, the original court records.
DUI is a sensitive topic culturally in the U.S. So you know, it is the only offense specifically listed in the Foreign Affairs Manual for visa stamping revocation.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, many years ago, I'm talking a decade and a half, we had more luck overcoming these than recently. But what I would recommend for you is to have a plan, meaning that have a kind of a, the best defense, Brian, is what? A good offense.
Yeah.
And some kind of a voluntary rehabilitation.
For the BC.
Yeah, voluntary treatment, blah, blah, blah. Create a record of things that are not required of you. So if they come and ask you, you can say, no, look at me, I'm a saint now.
Yeah.
Check out all these things I've done voluntarily because nobody asked me to do it, but I did it.
Yeah.
And that creates a very impressive, strong record to overcome any skeptical officer. Let's take the next one.
Yeah, so Sky Limit just giving us a little bit of information here saying, hi, Sam and Brian. Last time I mentioned I got EB5 green card after WM, which you're not sure that was, it meant rid of mandamus. So thank you again. Yeah, we definitely know what one is. Raise your hand if you have some going in court. You have the one left in somewhere in the deeper into the Midwest. Well, to that I say congratulations.
And good job for the writ of mandamus.
Yeah. So Ahmed Hamad asked the question. Can I ship my passport from the U.S. if H-1B administrative processing is complete outside the U.S. after losing job to stamp it and use it with future employer by leaving the border to re-enter with it?
So he got approved. Now he's in the U.S., Brian, and he.
Can I send my passport back to home country?
Yeah. Now here's where the zinger is. He's here. Now, does the State Department have jurisdiction over him? They arguably do not. Now,
I'm going to answer this question from a totally different perspective, but I want to finish.
Yeah, arguably do not. In which case, shipping the passport to get a stamp where you do not need to use it clearly because you're in the U.S. is something that probably more than likely they will not approve or stamp if they found out. Now, they may not find out, and you don't want to be in a situation where they are stamp issuing it under false pretenses, because that's how the word fraud start popping up everywhere. And the second part about using it for another employer, I don't like the first part of it to go into the second part.
Well, I'm going to answer it from the exact.
Give me a different angle.
Your responsibilities in the United States. You're a foreign national in the United States. You're supposed to have your passport with you here. The one document you have from your home country that says, Ahmed Hamad is from our country. Please treat him with the rights and dignities that you would. You want to. You don't want to send your travel documents, your passport, outside of the country where you're supposed to have one when you're here. That's basic rules of being, a non-immigrant in the United States.
We don't recommend it.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Yeah. Theoretically, it's possible they might be tricked into doing it, but as soon as I bring up tricked into doing it, that's where it sounds really bad.
Yeah, this is I think goes in the same category of trying to kind of push the edges. I don't think he
he's asking a legitimate question.
But inadvertently find yourself on the edges of the rule, and then when the scrutiny is heightened, you go on the other side of it.
I always tell people, know where the line is and take a big 10-foot step back from it, and don't dance across it because you might get bit by whatever's on the other side. Yeah.
Yes.
From Wesley, another sort of frequent viewer from us here. Sam, I've been dominating.
All right, so Wesley, I-140 EB2/EB3 prior to date 2013 with employer A. Filed 485 with EB3 in 2020. In March 22nd, filed transfer underlying basis to EB2 per government memo. So back then, looks like he was current. Planning to switch to a new employer. How to use EB3 because India EB3 will move faster. So he is now in EB2 pursuant to the TUB.
Yep.
I think he can tub back.
Yeah.
But is EB3 current? EB3 is no longer current. Now, can he ask for a cancellation of the tub?
But to cancel that tub is basically sending me back to my EB3, and the inevitable question is, does that employer still support that EB3?
Well, he's still working with them. He hasn't changed, but he's getting ready to change. So now he wants to switch to EB3. Let's say the employer supports it. The question I have is, can you change back to EB3 when EB3 is not current yet?
Well, as I recall, I've actually recently read the tub page in the USCIS policy handbook, and they say you cannot withdraw an approved tub transferred underlying basis request.
Well, how do you know it's an approved tub?
And that's the question.
The $1 million question.
Yeah.
So it's not approved if you don't know about it. That's my opinion.
Well, yeah.
But
I honestly don't think they approve them until they actually approve the case. It's my theory, but I can't prove that.
So he has one labor certification, right? How about filing 9140, but doesn't help him?
Well,
it's not
okay.
current.
I'm presuming if this person is in lawful status and they have an EB2 and EB3 I-140, file another I-485.
It's not current. EB3 is not current.
EB3 is not current. Is EB3 not current? December 20th? I don't think it is. I think it's.
Well, we're going to assume that for the purpose of the discussion, it's not current because he says it's going to move faster.
Yeah.
If it's EB3 current, then file a tub and you're done.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Well, I'm pulling up the visa bulletin here, but it seems to be.
It's probably right here in that stack.
Oh, but that stack's so far away.
Sure. Let's do it.
So EB, I'm presuming India, because of course India, they're in January 2013, April 2013 for EB2 and EB3. That's a great
January, and he said he's March. So how about stay with the employer A?
Yeah.
How about stay with employer A?
Yeah.
Sorry, Wesley.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like we've given this gentleman enough guidelines.
Yeah. Here's a follow-up question should be able to get to here.
It should be because it should be admitted processing. It was dismissed because evidence I attached with I-485 was 5 years.
It was about. I think it's about the DUI. So again, I always there can be very picky about their evidence, but it's a potential. I still think there's a reasonable chance that somebody get an interview with a DUI. It's basically they like to talk to people about things like that.
I'm trying to read the next one here. That's why my head went to the right. Yeah. But can you advise when I-485 should be filed immediately after joining the new job? Also, can HR sign document, or should it be from someone higher?
So this is Wesley, who is basically. I'm presuming Wesley's going to change employers and maybe have to stick it out in the.
Whatever category.
Yeah.
So he wants to do a same or similar job classification.
Yeah. I have a solution for Wesley to get back into EB3. If employer A is willing, he doesn't have to be employed by employer A when they're offering him a job. If employer A is willing, when the EB3 becomes current again, if they're willing to tub him back to EB3 with confirm that offer of employment on EB3 still stands, fine.
I thought that was the answer I gave.
You said stay with it.
Well, yeah.
I'm saying leave employer A, maintain a good relationship with them, and say, guys, hey, I'm current in EB3. Will you take me back? Oh yeah. Have fun, and they can do a tub
back.
Yeah.
So come back later instead of stay with them.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
So when to file I-485J if you are taking advantage of portability? My take is get it early from your employer. Why? Because if their HR changes and their policies change, you won't have to you won't have a crisis on your hands later, I guess.
So let's go to Moses.
Yes.
I got 212H waiver granted in conjunction with I-485 for deportable.
Crime involving moral turpitude.
Okay. Try to remove me based on waived crime if they want, or can they? This is the kind of question that is very important, but I need to know so much more.
Yeah.
But if the waiver is granted, you have to just point to the waiver and you're fine.
With the concept of res judicata, we determined that already, yeah.
Yeah, so there has been an adjudication. They just have to reopen it and re-adjudicate it. But but that's always something you have to have. What I would do in a situation like this for Moses is you need to have an attorney letter to explain it in layman's term why he's admissible and what the law supports it, what the case law that supports it, attach it, make it nice and neat, have a nice folder. So if they stop you coming back in, you just say, please read this.
Yeah.
and that should help you out.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people who have challenges at the border, and like, oh, you should be with traveling with criminal stuff in their past, and like they say they harangue me every time. I said, yeah, you should probably be traveling with something
with
like
a letter.
that.
Yeah. Love.
Yes.
Do American citizens get fingerprinted by Homeland Security? American citizen, the only time an American citizen interacts with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is at the inspection point as you're coming into the U.S. So the only time you get fingerprinted is if you are a known traveler.
Yeah, part of one of the
you go through a
global
process,
entry or
or
the other program.
Yeah. So if you're a known traveler, you go through a background screening. You give all kind of information. Yeah. But when you're inspected, they don't fingerprint you.
Do they sometimes have like a single fingerprint reader though, like they have at USCIS? It's been a while since I've traveled internationally.
Yeah.
No.
I don't. Well, I go through the known traveler, so I have given up all my information. So they basically. You stand in front of a machine, and that's it. You're inspected in 3 seconds, and then you go in. So I don't have, but typically no, they don't. They shouldn't ask for anything beyond that.
Take this last question and wrap it up.
Sure.
Okay. So from Ahmed Hamad, lastly, thank you for bearing. Was advanced parole impacted during Trump 1.0 travel ban?
Well, it's a history question.
Yeah.
I don't remember the details.
I'll give a yes.
Okay.
The first travel ban was an absolute mess. They didn't know whether permanent residents from certain countries could enter the United States, and and that's that. So yes, absolute chaos. I mean,
you heard it from Brian.
Well, okay, I'm giving a wishy-washy answer of broad impact, and it took them a long time to settle out that travel ban. There were a lot of people uncertain as to whether they come back to the United States. Yeah. Don't presume that anybody's going to be unimpacted by the travel ban. Just delays at customs alone.
Yeah. So there's one more question here. We don't want to disappoint people. Let's go ahead and take it.
All right. So
it's been more than 41 days. Seems like I filed my I-693 on response to RFE. I still haven't received any response back. Well, they're slow.
That doesn't really surprise me. I guess is the bottom line. Yeah. If I presume your priority date's current, and so they don't get to you when your priority date is current as fast as most people think they should, which is immediately.
Yeah. So we get a traveler question.
Yeah, I'll hit them up here.
Yeah. Green card holder was traveling outside the United States for 4 months. I went to USA for 2 days. After that, I'm traveling since 5 months. I'm planning to USA. What precautions should I take with CBP? Well, that's a long time, my friend, outside the U.S. Yeah. And we were just talking about returning permanent residents. I think they can probably, they can challenge you. The presumption is in your favor, but they can challenge you on whether or not you've abandoned your permanent residency. What do you bring with you? Lease, property, house, ownership, bank account, evidence of credit cards, evidence of a job. Car insurance, life insurance, 401k. Anything
that shows you still live in the United States.
But a packet of, family ties.
I'm going to say on the other side is, is evidence that shows that what brought you outside the United States for such a long time was an extreme and a limited occurrence. Because if you keep on this track of back for 2 days, gone for 4 months, the customs folks will eventually say. They will stop you and say, we know what's going on here. You're gonna have a big problem if you do this again.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening to us. Monday, 6 o'clock.